change our food system and our world. So Xenia, if you want to come up.
Here we are at the brink of extinction. Can you tell me how? Everybody's wondering who, what, where, when, and now. Why can't you see the solution is in front of you? No matter how free we feel, there's still a lot to do. Our world is crumbling and we're just bumbling around.
Reminder what?
Just bumbling around. Ooh. Our world is crumbling and we're just bumbling around without a sound. We are told this is our evolution, but it's old and far from the solution. We can't find the cure, so let's seek the prevention. We can change together with our intention. Open up your eyes and you can see what we're going through. Our minds are polluted, manipulated, different view. Our world is crumbling and we're just bumbling around. Oh, the answer lies in the hearts, and the only way to live is to love. We have to make a choice. We have to stop art. If we don't come together, we'll fall apart. Here we are repeating history. Life is a puzzle and we are a mystery. People are numbed with electromagnetic energy, and even some are still wrapped up in the fallacy. We're seeing sickness increasing in humanity. We are the cure, yeah, we are family. Our world is crumbling and we keep bumbling around. We're bumbling around, not making a sound. We act like we're bound when together we're found. Oh, together we're found. Oh, the answer lies in our hearts, and the only way to live is to love. Oh, the only way to live is to love. No GMO, no GMO, no GMO, no GMO, no GMO, no GMO, no GMO.
Mother Nature put it here originally just as it should be, and we shouldn't be messing with her. It's pretty simple. I don't know how much explanation that needs, really. So we're here to have Emilie Rensink come up and speak about, she's the international co-organizer for the March Against Monsanto.
Hey guys, how's it going? This is absolutely amazing. For the past 2 months, I've been donating full-time hours to this global movement, and to see this kind of turnout is really amazing. It's really inspiring. So I am one of several international co-organizers, and I just want to report some of the latest numbers. There are actually events on 6 continents in over 50 countries in over 425 cities happening today, many of them right now. In fact, we were Skyping live with New York City a little earlier, and in about 15 minutes we're going to be Skyping live with Montreal, Quebec, in Canada. So, pretty exciting. So this whole movement, it started as a Facebook page created by a soccer mom, and shortly thereafter I got in touch with her, and because I had a little bit of experience organizing, and so I lended my efforts logistically, and shortly thereafter several other people came on board to help and really try to push it to its full potential. And we've gotten help from a very diverse group of activists internationally. We have a large anarchist collective helping us. We have libertarians, we have soccer moms, we have progressives, we have liberals, we have apolitical mothers who just don't want their kids to eat poison. And I think our diversity is really to our benefit, and that's our strength. Yeah. So we need to all come together, put aside our differences, and just say, you know what, this is our food. Yeah. And also, I just want to say that I think the answer to taking down Monsanto is grabbing them by the ankles and pulling them down, which means it happens at the grassroots. It happens from the community opting out of GMOs and other disgusting things. Anyway, so start your own garden, support your local organic farmers at farmers markets. You can actually save money by doing that. And just don't buy stuff from Monsanto. It's gross. Stay in touch. You know, it's not the beginning. Look at this. It's obviously not the beginning. We're in the thick of it. But just keep going. Stay in touch with people. The Food and Water Watch is a really great organization to get involved with to keep things going. And finally, I just want to thank the people who have made this Seattle March possible. Diane, Cindy, Amanda, the 99% Community Lab, the Backbone Campaign, all the volunteers, and all of you for getting off your butts today and coming out here. So thank you. Let's march against Monsanto! Yeah!
Our next speaker is from the Washington Fair Trade Coalition. She is the executive director. Her name is Kristen Befu. And yeah, come on up. There you are. Thank you.
It's okay, it's close enough. Okay, close enough. Hi everyone, it's great to be here. So I'm with the Washington Fair Trade Coalition. We're a group of 65 labor, social justice, environmental, faith, student organizations and fair trade businesses here in Washington state working for an equitable global trading policy. And we represent tens of thousands of eaters, community members, and workers who are done with the corporate takeover of our political system and the privatization of our public policies. And I know you agree with us, and that's why you're here today. So I want to say a couple things about the relationship of Monsanto and trade policy. How many people here have heard of Roundup? Hands in there. How many people here have heard of Roundup Ultra? Not as many. How many here have heard of Plan Colombia? Oh, you should, because you are paying for Plan Colombia right now, where Roundup Ultra is being spread over fields throughout Colombia right now. Why? And in an effort to eradicate drugs. But what does it do? It eradicates food. It devastates small family farmers throughout Colombia. Not only does it kill their food, it kills their water source. It kills their air. It hurts their respiratory systems. It creates skin diseases. And then what does Monsanto do? It lobbies for trade policies with Colombia so that they can sell their GMO seeds, which are Roundup ready. So they create the problem and then they lobby for the solution, which is absolutely ridiculous. And we are paying for that. And so this is a way that Monsanto is spreading its power, not just throughout Colombia, but through Mexico, Central America, South America, Africa, and Asia. They are expanding their markets by hurting family farms. At the moment, Monsanto is trying to introduce GMO seeds in Mexico. GMO corn, the origin of corn. And there are farmers that are taking to the streets. Hunger strikes happened earlier this year to try to keep GMO seeds out of Mexico. And our elected officials, the same ones who take money from Monsanto for their elections, who own stock in Monsanto, agree with them and allow them to move forward on these trade agreements after decades of evidence that they cause economic destabilization and force people to migrate to the US because they have no other choice. Another thing we're done with is the US exporting its lack of transparency in GMO labeling in the form of trade agreements. Right now, New Zealand, Australia, Japan, and many European Union countries have mandatory labeling on GMO foods. And through our trade agreements, we're trying to challenge that. We're saying to be in a trade agreement with the US, our government, not we, our government, is saying to access our markets, you have to reduce your labeling requirements and make them non-mandatory. And you know, we're done with that. And actually, how many of you all have heard of the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement? Yeah. Boo. Well, if you haven't heard about it yet, you should, because it will affect every single one of us here today as eaters, as workers, and as members of the community here in Washington State. And you know who is negotiating that trade policy? Monsanto. And 600 corporations are at the table. This involves 12 countries. It's being talked about as a super-sized NAFTA. It's now in its 18th round of negotiations. And we know farmers are not at the table negotiating this. Workers are not at the table, community members. And we know that it will expand corporations' rights to challenge labor and environmental laws because they see those as barriers to trade. Yes, corporations get to sue countries because they think their environmental laws and public health and safety laws are a barrier to their profits. And this is also what's happening inside government too. The head of the U.S. Trade Office negotiating for agriculture is a former Monsanto lobbyist. And he served in the Clinton administration, and he helped with negotiations on regional and multilateral trade negotiations. Do you remember what trade agreement came out of the Clinton administration? What? NAFTA! And do we think that was good for workers and farmers? No! I can't hear you!
And it's bad for unions.
All right. So we are faced with the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and corporations want this agreement done by the end of this year.
Obama wants it too. Obama's behind it too.
We need to challenge all aspects of government. So right now, corporations and trade negotiators are asking for our members of Congress to give up their constitutional responsibility to regulate foreign commerce and to represent us. They are saying, we're going to negotiate this trade agreement, and we want you to have no say at all. We want you to give us fast-track authority.
That's illegal.
You might think it was illegal. They had it during CAFTA, they had it during NAFTA, and this means Congress and the public would have no say whatsoever. This is not public policy making. This is not democracy. When I say fast track, you say no. Fast track. No. Fast track. No. Fast track. No. All right, so this is what you can do today, because it's important to go away knowing you are empowered and you can do something. You need to reach out to your members of Congress, representatives, senators, and say, represent we the people, not Monsanto, not Philip Morris, not Walmart, not the big pharmaceutical companies, and we need you to vote no on fast track and vote yes for workers, yes for farmers, and yes for eaters. Onward!
Thank you so much, and that was awesome. There's also an app that's just come out called Boycott. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but it's not up on Android yet, but that's also another way we can take our food back and decide with our dollar every single day. We can vote that way. Next, we have April Rose. She is a nutritionalist and sustainable lifestyle consultant with Optimize You. She is also a mother of 4 and will be speaking of the effects of GMO on our children's diet.
Wow, there's a lot of you here today that must care, and that's why we are here today. Is very, very important for our children. I'm here today to speak for them because they have no voice. This is important to them and their future. To hear their statistics out there that say that this current generation will not be outliving their parents, we should all be out in the streets screaming about that. That is not okay. Why has that become okay? That Monsanto can take away our children, it can take away other family members as it poisons them slowly with the chemicals that it puts in our food. So today, I really feel this is our Lorax moment. This is our moment where we have to speak for the trees, we have to speak for the farms, and we have to speak for the children. The story goes on and on for years to tell a sad tale of lies and greed from farm to seed. Monsanto and their GE crops are harming people and the earth that we need. Recently, the Lorax took a visit to check on the damage caused by Monsanto and their GE crops, and this is what happened. The Lorax said nothing, just gave the farms a glance, just gave the farms a very sad, sad backward glance as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants. And I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of the farm through the hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all the Lorax left here in the field was a small pile of rocks with one word: unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. But now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you, all of you, cares a whole lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So go. Take your knowledge and passion. Act on your intentions. Create change. It is going to take all of us that are here, to care and tell other people why to stop eating GMO food. You are in charge of inoculating the public against the lies of Monsanto. You are in charge of reclaiming consumers' rights. You are in charge of protecting the children and the environment we live in. A personal ban on GMO food is what everyone needs. Plant your own gardens, purchase organic food, treat it with care, give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Support organic farms and their nourishing crops. Then the Lorax and all of his friends might come back.
Before I introduce our next speaker, I just want to say again that the amount of support for this event has been amazing. I mean, seeing the crowd from up here is ridiculous. It's huge. So you guys are awesome. I want to tell you, the organizers of this event have been super organized in getting this passed, getting this up and running. It's Cindy and Diane, so I just want to thank them. We've also had Food and Water Watch, and Fair Trade Coalition has been a huge help. And so when we opened up this a Facebook page, we had 3,400 people sign on saying that they were coming to this event. So it's just amazing that this is happening, not only in Seattle, but everywhere. So I'll introduce the next speaker. His name is Barry, and he is an urban homesteader and biodynamic educator. Barry, you want to come on up?
So what I'll try to do a little bit is channel Wendell Berry. If I were to turn to a farmer, that's who I would turn to. And right now, the first thing I would say for you is it all turns on affection. That's the title of his talk for the Jefferson Award from the National Endowment for the Humanities last year. And you should read that essay. It's online. It all turns on affection. And in that essay, as everywhere, or many places in his work, he contrasts the industrial model and the agrarian model. And that's really an important distinction. So the industrial model is one that's found in our capitalist world and our socialist world, which has kind of faded away. It's a model of control, trying to control nature. The agrarian model is more on the biological logic and ecological logic, one of affection, one of place and living in nature. And in an interview to that award, he has the phrase, fit the farming to the farm. Fit the farming to the farm. And that really epitomizes the biodynamic ideal. The idea that you use as few inputs as possible. You take the resources of a farm and you fit the livestock, the cropping, all to those resources. You don't bring inputs from outside. You rely on the sun and the energy it brings and the cycling of enterprises in the farm itself. Now, what's prominent today is the industrial model, where you treat farming like a factory, like a manufacturing process. You bring in inputs and you have outputs that are sold as commodities. It's profit-driven. It's not health-driven. Now, you can't just take Monsanto away. Monsanto's just filling a void. The prominent model today is that industrial model. They're just an input company. The technology itself. I also happen to be a biologist. I understand the genetics well enough to know that it's beyond our control. The cytoplasm of a cell is like an ecology. You know, we can't control the ecology out in the world with glyphosate, with Roundup, and we can't control the ecology inside the cell with genetic so-called engineering or modification. We can't take it away. The technique by itself, there are techniques of smart breeding. Knowing the genomics of plants can help us to breed better. So it's a double-edged sword. But if you really know the biology, you know we can't control it. Now, if we can't just take Monsanto away, we've got to change this input model. The only way we're going to change that model is if we start to respect the farm. We start to respect the ecology of the farm, the oikos. That means the stewardship of the household, the word oikos. All of us have households, not just farmers. We need more farmers. All you young folks out there and older folks, not just support the farms that exist and buy organic products. Some organic farms are industrial model. They're practically like, a farm that uses GMO. They bring in inputs, put out outputs. We need something higher than that. To have that, we're going to need a lot more farmers, a lot more labor. We're going to need to respect labor, not just on farms, but throughout. That's the theme of Folk Life this year. And we need ourselves, who aren't going to be farmers, the few of us left, I hope, to have our own urban households, to be producers to what extent we can, so that stands in our minds as a model for how we make decisions and what we buy and what we do. We need to reclaim domesticity. That's a phrase of Shannon Hayes in her book, Radical Homemaker. So that's two things today. You've got It All Turns on Affection and Radical Homemaker by Shannon Hayes. So that our diets, our way of life, matches the farm, rather than our diet and way of life is Cokes and whatnot, and we have to have farms with GMOs to grow the corn, to make the fructose syrup. We often hear we are what we eat, but we also eat what we are. So if we are that industrial model, we'll eat that kind of food. Now, David Korten, this industrial model is based on the contemporary predominant philosophy David Korten referred to. He's an economist in his book, When Corporations Rule the World. He had a phrase that this worldview, this way of looking at the world, is an excessively partial view of reality. That's the view that Monsanto, this industrial model, is working for. We need to educate the world so that we see that there's more than that.